Hello everyone, Alyssa LeBruck, nutritionist and gut expert. I am here to tell you about those fluctuating poops that you're getting. You know, the diarrhea and constipation, those days where you have no poops at all and then all of a sudden shit hits the fan. Literally, right? The floodgates open and all of a sudden, there she blows, you've got diarrhea. I gotta tell you guys, when I was struggling with my gut issues years ago, I had IBS and I too fluctuated between diarrhea and constipation, and it was I always think like, oh, the best of both worlds, but not at all. It was the worst. And what would happen is I would eat something one day and feel totally fine, eat it the next day and be in raging diarrhea, and then I would do this again another time and it would constipate me, and so I had a really hard time trying to figure out what foods were causing the problem, and it made wanting to leave the house even really challenging because I never knew when the diarrhea was going to hit. And so I started to really isolate myself. It got to the point where I didn't really go out and enjoy socializing much. If anything, I was like, you come see me, have people come over to my house. But I just never knew whether I was going to have a good gut day or a bad gut day. And because it was so volatile and fragile, it was like I wasn't willing to guess. I wasn't willing to gamble on it and hope that it just work out. Now, many of you guys have been hanging out with us, and I've been talking about, poop for years now. And, the thing is I didn't wake up one day and be like, I'm gonna talk about poop the rest of my life, What really happened was that I thought that my fluctuating diarrhea and constipation was completely normal. That might sound shocking to many of you guys, but let me explain, because you see, I was an opera singer. That's what I went to university for. I'm a trained opera singer. And so I was at the time, coping with these symptoms and sort of accepting it as my normal, because at the exact same time that was happening, my sister was in and out of the hospital with colitis. She had been diagnosed with colitis. She was thin as a rail, pale as a ghost, raging diarrhea, blood in her stool, bursting veins, misdiagnosed, given wrong prescriptions. We were even taking her to the hospital over Christmas. There was 10 to 15 day stretches. It was horrible. And so comparatively speaking, I thought I was doing pretty good. I thought, I guess this is what normal looks like, because I'm not in the hospital suffering like she is. And I'll never forget the one time that she was admitted into the hospital, and I got the call again at work, and I flew down the highway and I climbed in the hospital bed with her, and I just believed there had to be a better way. And I went home that day and I started searching, and I kept coming across nutrition, and it was like, wow, okay, maybe food does make a difference here. The big thing that I really came to realize, though, was that my gut was not okay. And if I didn't get my shit in order, I was going to be heading down a slippery slope down into Crohn's and colitis, just like my sister and many of my other family members. And so I went on a mission to really start fixing my gut, and that's what catapulted me into this, because I ended up fixing it, lost 70 pounds, went back to school, became a registered holistic nutritionist and gut expert, and well, here we are today, right? And so through that process and really reaching out to people worldwide now, speaking on Crohn's, colitis, IBS, SIBO, the gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, we've talked a lot about these things on their own, but many of you guys have been like, but what about me? The person who is fluctuating between both, you're getting both diarrhea and constipation. Man, what do? Do you follow the constipation advice or the diarrhea advice? It gets really confusing. And so I see you guys, and quite frankly, I apologize for not talking about this sooner, because I too used to suffer with this fluctuation, and and bless all you guys in our Facebook group, our free Facebook group, the Love Your Guts IBS support group. Enough of you guys were asking about it that our team came to me at a team meeting and was like, Alyssa, I think we need to talk about this. And I'm like, oh my God, I have dropped the ball. So here we are, guys. I want to really dive deep into this today because I know that you guys are feeling confused by it. And so what many of you guys might be experiencing, and the time frame on what this looks like can really vary and range for different people, right? And so what we see a lot with our clients in the Love and Trust Your Guts program is that when there's this fluctuation between diarrhea and constipation, it's usually that they're not going poop for 2 to 3 days or so. Again, the length of time can vary. And if they are going, it's like pellet poops or they're strained, they're just not getting enough stool out. And then they'll hit a wall where they'll get either one day where I had a client the other day, she called it her poop day. And so she gets these poop days where she's glued to the toilet and it's just like all day diarrhea, right? And we've had other clients where this diarrhea stretch can last, 2 to 3 days. Again, length of time really varies. The big thing here is that fluctuation. And the thing that I want you to remember is that at the end of the day, you need to understand how much you should be pooping. So we always say you should be pooping 2 to 3 times per day. But that doesn't give you a good visual on like how much poop, Alyssa, because I can go 2 to 3 times in pellets, right? Which is why I always tell you guys, make sure it's a nice formed stool, like a sausage or a banana or even chicken nuggets would be good, right? But if you're getting corn on the cob or pellet poops, the little pellets that are formed together like a corn on the cob poop, not good, too firm. Or if you're getting oatmeal texture or like gravy texture poops, also not good, right? So here's how much poop you should be eliminating. Let's get this going up here. The full length of your forearm, elbow to wrist, every day. Every day, that's how much poop you should be eliminating. Okay, so whether you have diarrhea or constipation, I suspect you're still not pooping enough. And so many people who have bouts of diarrhea or just diarrhea in general, they're like, I swear to God, I have nothing left in me. And the thing is that you have to remember you need to eliminate that every day, because if you're not, it's getting backlogged into the colon, into the system. Okay, let me take a look here because I see you guys are jumping in these comments like crazy. Yeah, Anne says, oh, your poor sister, I can see how in comparison you didn't realize how messed up your system was. Yeah, I was a dang mess. My anxiety was through the roof. I had severe bloating and gas. I've shared with you guys before, I'd go and eat at a restaurant and leave with my pants undone because it was just so painful and I couldn't get them done. I couldn't do them back up after. Anyways, but it looked better, or, in my mind, I was like, well, I'm not in the hospital, I'm not screaming in agony, Anyway, so Petra says, that's me. It's hard work to try to stay at a stable gut. Yeah, absolutely. Michelle says, IBS since I was 15, and this is exactly my IBS, constipation until diarrhea hits, then back to being constipated. Isn't this so tough, guys? Here's the other problem with this fluctuation is, again, you don't really know what to take, because on days that you're constipated, you're like, should I take a laxative or gamble on tomorrow being a diarrhea day, right? And so all of a sudden it's like shit hits the fan. Again, you get the diarrhea and then you're like rushing to take things like Imodium or antidiarrheals, and then it really bungs you up and you're back in constipation. It's a freaking mess, right? So this sort of seesaw of back and forth is enough to drive anyone crazy. And I really want to help you guys understand the things that need to be done to stabilize this type of fluctuation and some of the things that actually cause it. All right. So there is no quick fix. There's no quick fix. There's no There's no quick fix. And what I want to say is that there are things that will give you temporary relief, like a laxative, but because it's not fixing the root problem, you're going to be back to square one tomorrow, right? Same thing with if you got the diarrhea, there's these quick fixes like the symptom management tools, like a bandage, like Imodium. If you've got loose stools, you can take Imodium, bung yourself back up, but tomorrow you're right back to square one. I don't operate that way because I didn't want to feel like a bag of shit the rest of my life. And I don't think you guys do either, because you guys have been following me for some time and you're like, this girl is going to help me fix my gut. You're right. I'm going to help you fix the root cause of it, because if you are stuck on laxatives and antidiarrheals the rest of your life, that is not quality of life. That's survival mode. It is possible for you to fix this. And so I want you to understand that there are many things that are contributing to that fluctuating diarrhea and constipation. So if you try just one thing and it doesn't work, I don't want you to throw in the towel and be like, we're done here. It's not possible. I've tried all the things. There's a very good chance that you've tried everything but fixing your gut. Okay, I say that with much love because I did that too. I went to the health food store, I bought these random supplements, and then when that didn't work, I go back and try a different one, buy the most expensive probiotic, did nothing, right? So let me walk you through some of the things that need to be addressed. Very first thing that can be causing these fluctuations, but something that you also need to address to stabilize this fluctuation, and that's bacteria. So there's not really a question of if you have a bacterial overgrowth, it's how bad is it and what type of bacteria are present. We have a fantastic video that I did on all the different types of bacteria that can be wreaking havoc in your gut. You guys can go and check out that video on our YouTube channel, Alyssa Lebrecq, Gut Expert. Please go watch that, because it's really important to understand, again, that this isn't just because you need to eat healthy. There are damage and deficiencies in your gut if you're dealing with this severe of a gut imbalance, that you're fluctuating between both. Okay? So there is an overgrowth of bad bacteria. You need to understand what type you have and how bad is it. And the only way to do that is test. Otherwise, you're guessing. And this is why I don't make random recommendations, because the gut health industry is scary right now. There's people and practitioners who are making random recommendations based off of assumptions. And I'm not prepared to put you or I in that position to have you go out and buy a random supplement and waste your money on it to find out that that's not what you needed. Okay, so please guys, you need to be tested to see what type of bacteria are present and how bad is it. And that's something that will make the world of difference when it comes to your bowels. We actually had a client that we were working with, Mary Lou, and when Mary Lou first came into the program, she had really, really terrible stomach pain. She was getting diarrhea. She was going 10 to 15 times per day, loose stools. And it got to the point where she was having accidents, ended up having to wear Depends to work. It was absolutely annihilating her confidence. We got her tested. It turned out that she had SIBO. We put her through a responsive removal plan, and within 2 weeks, we had her bowels completely stabilized. That is the power of testing and not guessing, because many people would have just thrown a probiotic at it, right? Or tried to change their diet or taken out all these foods thinking food was causing the problem. Okay, so guys, please, bacteria are a huge bowel irritant. If you want to stabilize, you got to understand what's making your gut so dang angry. All right, Petra says, you've already helped me when you went over my food diary and sent me my diet. The results were almost immediate. That is amazing. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. That was one of those things we did in our our free Facebook group. We did a free food journal review. That was months ago. Petra, thank you. I'm so glad that that was helpful for you. Okay. Please keep doing whatever we've got on planned out. That was a while back. Keep doing that if that's helping. Okay. And let's also explore what else is going on here, because again, if your poops are still wonky, you're still hanging out with us, there's probably some pieces missing in there. All right, so let's pair that food plan with some extra support. All right, so bacteria is the first one, guys. Now, the other thing too that I do want to just address when it comes to bacteria is you can also have not enough good bacteria. And this is where, you know, everyone's really excited about the idea of probiotics, and they run out to the store and they're like, gonna buy a probiotic today, got paid, right? And we, you know, buy this expensive probiotic, come home, and we're like, this is gonna do it. I'm quite sure of it. I've tried everything else. This is gonna be a thing you can feel in my bones. And then you take it, and one of two things happens. One, nothing. Nothing. Still same old fluctuating poops. Or two, you feel like even worse. Terrible pain, bloating, okay? Bad bacteria are present. That's a sign bad bacteria are present. Can you imagine a gut full of angry bacteria? You send in a bunch of the good troops. It's like World War I in your tummy. This is really common when we see SIBO present. Okay, so having not enough good bacteria in your stomach is also something that can cause fluctuating diarrhea and constipation. So again, understanding what specific strains you need and when the appropriate time to implement. Don't die on me, phone. Jeez. Guys, one day, I will come with a charged phone. What in the heck was I saying? So, I don't even remember. Probiotics. This is where a lot of people jump onto probiotics and they think that that's going to fix it, but there's an appropriate time to take a probiotic, and that's not for everyone. For a lot of our clients, they are not being introduced to a probiotic for 2 to 3 months into their protocol. Okay, so that's really important to understand, because a lot of people are taking it, they feel worse, or taking it and it does nothing. And it's because you don't know which probiotics you should be taking, okay? So don't give up on the probiotics. You do need good bacteria, but you need to understand how to implement them. So that's going to be something really important for your bowels. Now, here's the other thing. The second thing that's really common when it comes to fluctuating diarrhea and constipation is there's some sort of deficiencies going on in your gut. Now, this can be minerals. There can be certain minerals that are depleted. One of the tests that we absolutely encourage for our clients is hair mineral analysis test. It tells us exactly what you're depleted in. Again, we got to test it, not guess. Otherwise, you're just throwing money at the wall and you're going to pee out your supplements. Let's see what you're actually depleted in. So minerals are commonly deficient, and that can really create some irritation, but also understanding what enzymes are missing. So chronically low stomach acid is something that can really wreak havoc on our bowels. So low stomach acid can cause constipation, but also if you don't have enough stomach acid breaking down your foods end up sitting in the gut, right? They're undigested, they end up rotting and fermenting, and they create this bloat, and it causes irritation. That can flip you into diarrhea as well. Okay, so understanding what deficiencies and addressing those is going to be critical. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is motility issues. Motility issues can be happening for several reasons. It can be due to damage to the colon due to overuse of laxatives or overuse of antidiarrheals. Please understand that these are bandages. They're not fixing the root cause, and what can happen is you can create bowel damage, okay, motility issues. And so when motility starts to go off, the bowels forget how to naturally contract. You lose that natural peristalsis of the colon. And so something like pelvic floor therapy can be really beneficial in helping to, again, stabilize that motility so we get things to settle down. The last thing that I really want to talk to you guys about that is really, really critical when it comes to fluctuating diarrhea and constipation is that the number one thing that is causing that is the fact that you're constipated. I know. Let me explain. Most people who fluctuate, they hate the diarrhea the most because it's what is affecting your quality of life. You feel like you can't ever go out, road trips on the weekend, non-existent, date night with your spouse, non-existent, because again, you don't know when it's going to hit. And there's some times where when that diarrhea hits, you don't have time to get to a bathroom. So even going to a restaurant around the corner, you know that after you eat, you might not make it home. And so a lot of people, when I talk to them, I'll say, okay, what symptoms are you struggling with? They're like, well, I've got diarrhea. And the more questions I ask, well, there ever days you don't poop? Are there ever any firm stools? And they're like, well, yes. It's kind of like, well, yes, it's an afterthought. But that is the most important part, guys. I know diarrhea is the piece that's rocking your world, but the issue is the constipation, not the diarrhea. Here's why, again, imagine this is how much poop you should be eliminating from your elbow to your wrist every single day. If you are not eliminating that amount every single day, where did the shit go? Where did all that poop go? Right? Again, it gets reabsorbed into the blood system, those toxins, but it starts to really bulk up and firm up and clog up your colon. And this is why so many people can have diarrhea and still be constipated. We have clients that have come into the program that are in diarrhea every day, and they go in for a scan of their stomach and their doctor's like, you're full of poop. And they're like, that is impossible. And so when you're so backlogged with stool, you're not effectively eliminating. When you have diarrhea, imagine your colon like a tube, you're just shooting through the middle. So you're not bulking and forming and cleaning up that gunk that's caked up on the intestinal lining. And when we get completely full like that, your body can hold up to 20 pounds of poop in your colon. And eventually it's like tapping out. I'm out. I can't hold anymore. I'm maxed out. We need to open the floodgates and evacuate. And this is where we then switch into diarrhea. So when you are dealing with fluctuating diarrhea and constipation, the focus needs to be on correcting the constipation. And it's when we stabilize the constipation and get things moving more consistently that the diarrhea stops. All right, we had a client come into the program, Becky, and when Becky first started with us, she was the same thing. She told me all about her diarrhea. And what I uncovered was that she had more days of constipation. And the diarrhea was a response to all that constipation. And she was so frustrated. She was like, Alyssa, no, this is the diarrhea. It's the urgency. I can't go on road trips with my husband on the weekends anymore. It's ruining me. I have zero confidence in my body. I said, trust me, Becky, we have to focus on the constipation. And so we got her bowels moving without any laxatives, stabilized the constipation, and she didn't have any more days of diarrhea. At that point, what we had to heal was her confidence in her body. So please, guys, I know the diarrhea is just next level annoying. It's the constipation we need to focus on. Okay? So I have something really exciting coming out next week for you guys. Please keep your eyes peeled on this page. I've got a perfect poop guide for you. We're going to be sending it out, releasing it out to you guys next week. If you're not already, I should say, come into our client, or not our client. I keep calling our client because I love you all. Our free Facebook group, the Love Your Guts IBS support group. If you're not in there already, come in there, okay? Because this is where we get you guys the most support possible. And I love going in there and jumping in, doing some private, exclusive Facebook Lives just for you guys. And we're going to be getting you guys the perfect poop guide first, and then we'll roll it out to the rest of the world. So come on in there. Next week, we're going to be rolling that out. And listen, if you've got diarrhea or constipation or both, we need to get these bowels stabilized, because if you're not properly eliminating those toxins, they're getting reabsorbed back into the blood system. Think of dirty oil in your car, that sludgy, black, gritty, sandy. That's what's happening to the blood when that occurs. And all that stuff has to land somewhere. So it lands in places like the brain. We get brain fog, fatigue, memory issues. In the joints, we get stiff and sore and inflamed. You wake up in the morning, you're like, I'm pretty sure a bus hit me last night, right? Do you ever feel like it takes a bit to get the old body going? Meanwhile, you're like, I'm only 43, right? So evacuating your bowels properly without the use of stimulants, laxatives, and antidiarrheals, that is what's going to make a tremendous difference to your energy and to your ability to be able to heal. Okay, guys? So, hope this was valuable. Come on into the Facebook group if you're not there already, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.